want to have this conversation with you. So, why are you an atheist? Just before we continue.
I'm an atheist because I don't believe that God did all the stuff that the Bible says God did. And I know you're supposed to interpret the Bible, blah, blah,
The
blah,
moral
but
stuff? The moral stuff like killing people?
that's not, that's just morality. That's not because God was formed.
What, the creation?
So you believe that, and so you're saying then, like, the morality of, like, killing people. So you're saying before people found out about God, they would just, like, go around killing people and, oh, I just killed a person, oh, well.
No, I was trying to ascertain why you don't believe in God so that I could address the issue.
Oh, I don't believe in God because, like I said, I don't believe in anything that the Bible said he did. I don't believe in any of the stuff that happened. I don't believe in the 7 days of creation. I don't believe in the fact that God is the one who, like, started all this. I don't believe in the fact that God is the one who
Okay.
oversees everything. I don't believe in the fact that heaven and hell are real. I don't
Okay.
believe in either.
Are you a naturalistic materialist?
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
All right. It means that you reject all forms of spirituality. All
No,
that
I
ex
know. I actually think, like,
all that exists is
Buddhism,
matter in
stuff
motion.
like that. I think Buddhism, where you die and you get reincarnated, I think that would be cool as shit. I'm not going to say I don't believe in that, but I'm not going to say that I have any proof of any of these beliefs.
So
See, a
you
belief
do,
is a belief.
do,
Proof is proof. I believe in proof.
okay, let's use proof. I'll give you proof for God's existence. Are you ready?
Control anything.
I'll give you proof that God exists.
Okay, give me proof God exists.
The proof that God exists is the impossibility of the contrary. And the impossibility of the contrary is this. If God did not exist, you could not make sense of reality. You can make sense
That's
of
not true.
reality, therefore God exists. I'll show it to
So
you.
how, as an atheist, and how, as people who have never been in any sort of religion where God, by the way, you're talking about God, you're talking about Yahweh, you're talking about
Yeah,
a single
I'm going to prove it
God.
to you, though. Go ahead. I'm going to prove it to you.
No,
Let's
no,
use
go
it.
ahead, prove it to me.
Let's use epistemology. If I ask you, upon what basis can you say you know something for certain? What standard would you use?
You would believe in the same thing as criminal justice and all that. You would believe in without belief or, like, reasonable doubt, like how a criminal charge would work, beyond believable or reasonable doubt.
But you would say that there's always a possibility that the verdict is wrong, right?
Oh, agreed. There's always a possibility that I'm wrong and being atheist is wrong. There's always a possibility that God is real. There's always a possibility he's not.
Let me ask you
There's no
this.
actual factual
Let me
evidence
ask you
that
this.
God was
Is
ever
is there a
alive.
possibility that you could be wrong about everything you claim to know?
Oh, 100%. A
Okay.
thousand million cajillion percent.
Okay, let me ask you this one last question. If I say that outside my house the road speed limit is 50 miles an hour, but I could be wrong, do I know it?
Mm-hmm. No, you don't know it.
So if you say that you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, how is it that you know anything at all?
That's the legitimate reason people believe in God. Belief.
Well,
The
no,
thought of, and the
I
fact,
don't
and the
say
belief of.
I'm not the kind of Christian who says I believe in God, because belief tends to have a lot of baggage onto it in our modern context. I
So
tend to
then
use
why
the
would you
I
say,
tend to use the word
personally,
I tend to use the Greek word
personally, why do you
pistos.
say you believe in God?
The word I use is that I know that God exists and I believe what he says. I don't say I believe
Okay, so
in God,
why do you know God exists and why do you believe what he says?
because of the same thing I just demonstrated to you. Without him, you can't know anything for certain. You just showed me that you don't know anything.
And you just showed me that you're just basically believing on a belief of something that was written down on a couple fucking pieces of paper. You
No,
don't
that's not
have
what I'm
any
saying.
proof.
What I'm saying is
Neither
that
one of
my
us have any proof. That's the problem with this argument right here, right now. You have no proof God is real, and I have no proof God is not.
of course I have proof that God is real.
No, you
You didn't hear what
don't.
I'm saying. What I'm saying
You have
is
no physical evidence. You have your spiritual, your mind, like, oh, I believe this because this has been said. But in actual factual, like, this is why God's real, here's this fucking evidence, you have none.
but do
You
you
have what you've
realize
heard, what you understand.
wait, do you realize that you're making a category error? If someone says to
How?
you, I'm gonna tell you, if someone says to you that God exists and He's a spiritual being, why would you expect physical evidence for His
Hold on.
existence?
Say that again. I'm sorry. People are talking.
I said, if someone says to you that God exists and He's a spiritual being, why would you expect physical evidence for a spiritual being? Wouldn't you look
But
for non-physical evidence?
what makes a spiritual being factual?
The transcendental facts of reality, such as laws of logic, mathematical law,
Transcendental fucking
transcendental.
that sounds like a lot of like crap to make your belief sound reasonable.
It sounds like consistency to me. If I'm going to say that
There
God is
is no
transcendent,
consistency.
there is.
All the stories in the Bible, everything ever said about God is from another culture that we have taken and then interpreted into one mono, whatever the fuck religion it is.
Have you read the
One
Bible?
religion.
Have you ever read the
Look
whole?
up the history and like the facts about how Christianity formed, and you will be very completely surprised.
That's what my expertise are in. I actually know what you're talking about. I'm
So
actually
if that's
trying
your
to find out if you
then
know what you're talking
that
about.
then you know then that the Bible and every story pretty much written in it is transcribed from different cultures
But that's
over
false, though.
time,
That's
over
false.
history.
That's false.
Okay, so then when was the fucking first Bible made, and when was it translated to English, and it's the most famous version? Like, what is it? The King James?
No.
What's the most famous fucking Bible then?
You asked if that was the first Bible. I said no, it's not the first
No,
one.
I didn't say first. I said famous.
The most famous Bible is the NIV.
The f is that?
Yeah, that's what I said Saturday night.
What language is the NIV in?
English.
New international version.
That's what it
Beautiful,
is.
thank you. So how was it transcribed before that? Arabic to what? To what? To what? To what? To what? Oh, finally we're at English.
You want me to answer that? Because I could answer it. I could actually
No,
answer
yeah,
your
please
question.
answer that. Because
But-
they definitely transcribed every
but
single word
I'm-
perfectly.
The reason why I'm asking is because I'm not sure if you actually want to hear the answer or you're just trying to bully me. I'm not sure.
I'm not trying to bully you. Sure, tell me your answer. You're just not going to change the way I prescribe and live life, you know?
Okay, but if I'm not gonna change your mind with this line of questioning, why won't you ask me questions that might change your mind?
Because I want to believe that you might be right, but I have no factual evidence that you are right.
All right, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question, and you're gonna agree with me because this is factual. Do you think that how people evaluate evidence is based upon their underlying assumptions?
I agree that you're right with the underlying assumptions, but
Right.
if somebody even
Can
if
I use an
have
example?
assumption-
Can I use an example?
yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay, so if I say I'm married and you say to me, the evidence that can prove that you're married is by showing me your wedding ring. And I say, I don't have my wedding ring right now, but I have my marriage certificate, I have my wife, and I have my kids. And then you say, those aren't evidence. Unless I see the ring, I don't believe you're married. What I'm trying to
because the
say is,
evidence that you were talking about is from the law.
no, what I'm trying to say
The
is,
example you're using, whether or not you're trying to or not,
you have to let me finish the
if
point.
somebody gets married, the way a marriage is fucking like signalized by the government and stuff is you get a marriage license. If you don't have your marriage license and you gave him your ring, you said I love you, you have my son and all that,
But you don't
you're
have
still
marriage
not
license.
technically married by the state.
Right. So that would be evidential to prove that someone is married, right?
What's evidential to prove that someone is married is a marriage certificate. Agreed.
Right. Do you think that anyone in this world would disagree with that and they would say, unless I see a ring, you're not married?
I believe that everybody disagrees with everything. Why do you think we're
Right,
having this conversation?
right.
We both disagree.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to show you. Both of us have different foundational assumptions. The question has to become this: which one of our assumptions can make sense of reality? Laws of logic, universal moral ethics, and human dignity and value. If I ask you, why is X wrong as opposed to being right, you're going to have to give me your opinion. but I'm going to be able to give you a standard. That's what I'm trying to show you. Is
No, you're
that
trying to say like, why is this wrong? And most of the time, I would probably say because, well, when I was younger, I was taught this.
right?
Why was I taught this? Because it was probably some type of religious taught back in the day to my parents and then transferred on to me.
But let me
I
ask
agree
you,
with you.
absent religion, what basis do you have for calling something wrong besides your opinion?
Morality. Whether or
Morality.
not you are a good or you are a bad person.
But everyone has a different morality. Which one of them is right? Which one of them is wrong?
See, that's the thing. You can't decide that.
That's a problem that you would have if you reject Christianity. That's what I'm trying to show you.
No, because you can't say that every Christian is a good person.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that every Christian has a standard that they should follow. If they don't follow
every
it, then they're
Christian
wrong.
should follow the 10 Commandments. They should be by the book, believing in living out their way for God.
Right.
But again, with that though, what you were saying with the whole but, do every religious person believe that though?
No, it doesn't
Do
matter.
every religious person who says I believe in God follow those 10 Commandments?
No, they don't. But that's not the issue.
And
The
what
issue
makes
is
a person break their religious code, their
That-
morality?
that's not the issue. Both of us can point to Christians who are not following the rules. The issue
Exactly.
is which one of us has a standard by which we can say something is right or wrong. I do, you don't, because of the position that you have. And one of us can make
because
sense
your
of reality
position
and
is
one
you're
can't.
just saying, well, you're just saying though that your position is something that other people's position has been for many different years.
And I'm saying that because of God giving the law, we have a basis for universal moral ethics. If you don't believe in God, you have
No,
subjective
I
moral
believe
ethics.
that religion. No, what I literally I never said anything. I said religion definitely is a part of like your ethics and the way that your morality is. We had already talked about this. Religion definitely contributes to that. But what I and me and you have been arguing this whole time is whether or not God himself, as a physical or spiritual being, is a real thing.
And I would say he's real, and you would say he's not real. Or are you
Exactly,
agnostic?
and we will never get over this barrier.
So we should end the
But I'm
You're
trying to find
basically
out.
just wasting your time at this point.
But I'm trying to find out. Oh boy. I was going to ask, I'm trying to find out what is your basis for saying that God isn't real? And then he skipped. Boy. I hope you all see how difficult this is sometimes, man. Very difficult. But I'm sure you all saw the problem. He could not show that his perspective and his presupposition could account for universal moral ethics. All he could do was say that Christians, some of them don't follow the rules of the Bible. But my point was that Christians have a standard, Christians have a basis for universal moral ethics, and him being atheist does not have a basis for universal moral ethics. I was going to press him on the things that he would deem to be wrong and the things that he would say are wrong and ask him the question, according to what standard? And he would only, if he's consistent, have to say that it is just my opinion. But he skipped at the last point when I was going to ask him, upon what basis do you think or do you say that God doesn't exist? I really wanted to hear what he was going to say, but he skipped. That's how it is sometimes. That's how it is. Is anyone there?
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, I was just talking about the guy that came before. What's your name?
Call me GZ.
Jeezy, how old are you? 23?
20. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I saw your age on here. Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Do you believe in free will?
Yeah. Kinda.
Can you tell me what free will is?
Where you can do whatever you want, really.
That sounds like the freedom to do whatever you want.
Free will?
Would you say that your choices and your actions are not determined by external factors?
What do you mean? I'll say yeah.
An example would be you ate food, and I ask you why, and you said because you were hungry. Would being hungry cause you to make an action to eat food?
Mm, yeah.
So in that case, the choice to make an action to eat food was determined by the fact that you were hungry, meaning that the choice you made was determined, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And my argument is that in all cases, every single one of us are determined by external factors to do what we do and choose what we choose.
Yeah.
So free will doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Yeah, something to think about.
You have a point.
Yeah, and if you can prove that you can transcend the natural external factors in the world and make a choice independent of the natural external factors, you can prove that you can make a choice free from God because God is in absolute control of all things.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, something to think about, man. Are you a Christian?
Yeah. I'm pretty big in like religion.
Oh, well, I was just talking to an atheist and I was trying to find out why he was an atheist, but it was very, very difficult. Didn't want to have a conversation.
I feel like it's so much proof that it's real, so you have to believe it.
Every time he was saying that the Bible says this, the Bible says that, and how can I trust the translations? And I was saying to him, those questions are very easy to answer, but I want you to ask me questions that could change your mind if I give you the right answers. Not questions that you've
Mm.
probably been asking a lot of Christians all over the world that if they gave you the right answer, you are still going to go home being an atheist. Ask me real questions, the questions that matter, because he was just trying to challenge my knowledge. Those are very easy questions. Ask me about, does God exist and how do I know? Those are the questions that you should be asking. And I showed him that he could not justify universal moral ethics. When he would say something is wrong, he's doing that without a standard. Christians have a standard, but he doesn't, so he only has his opinion. And he could see that
Wait,
he was losing. He could see that he was losing the debate, so he skipped. That's how it goes
Oh,
sometimes.
wait. I have a question.
Go ahead.
When you think he's coming back?
When do I think God is coming back?
Or Jesus?
Well, the Bible teaches that there will be a rapture of all the saints who are on the earth, the church. And after that rapture, we're going to have the great tribulation period of 7 years. During that time, we're going to have people who are saved, who are called the tribulation saints. And then we're going to have the second coming of God or of Christ. The coming of Christ is not told us in the Bible. When the Bible speaks about the coming of God, it says, no one knows the day nor the hour. So if anyone pops up on TV or pops up in your life and say, hey, God is coming next year, well, they're contradicting the Bible because no one knows when God is coming. We can only speculate, but we don't know. That's why the Bible tells us that we should always be ready, always be in an attitude of readiness, live holy, live righteous, live good, follow God's law, follow God's rules, by his grace, of course, because you're saved. And when he comes, then you go with him. But it could be tomorrow. God could come tomorrow, or it could come next week. Or you and I probably are going to die before he comes. Either way, God is going to come and no one knows. So that's the answer.
I feel like he's coming like maybe 6 years. Maybe 7.
Right. You and I could say maybe 8, maybe 10. I mean,
Mm.
all we can do is speculate because we don't know. And if the question is asked, hey, could you be wrong about the date that you gave for the coming of God? You say, yes, I could be wrong, which means you don't know. Which means that the Bible is true when it says no one knows the day nor the hour.
Wait, what, like, is there a difference between orthodox in Christianity?
Well,
Or
if
is,
you're making reference to the Orthodox denomination and the Protestant denomination, then yes. But if you're making reference to that which is biblical, the word orthodoxy can mean that which is consistent with God's word. If I say that I'm being orthodox in my belief that Jesus Christ is God who came down from heaven as a man, hence being the God man, then I am saying that which is orthodox. If I'm saying that God isn't Christ or Jesus isn't God, then I'm being heterodox, meaning heresy or something like that. So to be orthodox is to be biblical, to teach that which is true. But there is a denomination in Christianity called the Orthodox Christians, which is like a breakaway from Roman Catholicism. They believe basically the same thing, but you call them the Eastern Orthodox Church. It was a breakaway in 1054. So you have the Eastern Orthodox and the Roman Catholics. They basically believe the same thing, except for the filio clause in the hold on, I'm going to remember the Nicene Creed. The Nicene Creed where it says that Jesus Christ is either like God or the same essence as God. One believed in homoousios and one believed in homoousios. Homoousios is that Christ is like God, but he's not the same as God. Homoousios is that Christ is the same essence as God. But right there was when they had the split. The split later on in the centuries, 1054. Was one of the reasons, if I'm remembering my church history correctly. But that's the Eastern Orthodox. You can look it up so that you can be more informed about it, being as you're a Christian, and you should always try to increase your knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he's coming pretty soon, because if you look at the state of the world right now,
Yeah, I could say the same thing, but I don't know when. I don't know
yeah,
when.
you never know when, but I feel soon.
Yeah. Well, keep praying, bro. Keep
You
pressing
too.
on. Keep reading God's word and keep sharing the
You too.
gospel, man.
You too. God bless.
God bless you too, brother. That was a good conversation. Are you still there? Yes, I am.
Yo,
Hey, how you doing? You believe in God?
no, Nate, I'm an agnostic atheist.
Let's have a conversation about it. Why are you an agnostic?
Lack of evidence beyond what's it? Fuck, what is it?
Beyond reasonable doubt?
Yeah, reasonable doubt. There you go.
Okay. Do you think that something has to become evidential to the individual for it to be counted as evidence?
Depending on what it is. So if you're talking about the creator of the universe
Right,
or creator of morals,
right.
then yeah, I think you'd have to be hyper specific. But other things, no, not really. I feel like you can have a reason of I trust what they're saying.
Would you agree with me that people, when they look at evidence, they view evidence from the basis of their foundational presuppositions about evidence?
I feel so. Yeah, I feel like in certain, yeah, definitely to a degree,
Right. Let
100%.
me use an example too so that we can make this more clear. A Christian believes that we live in a young earth.
And
And
what? Sorry, can you repeat that?
a young earth. Young
A
earth.
young earth. What does that mean?
It
You
means
mind?
that the earth is not billions of years old, it's thousands of years old. And
Mm.
if a Christian sees dinosaur bones with tissue on it, we'd say, whoa, see, that's evidence of a young earth. But if an evolutionist sees that same evidence, they would say, well, strange things happen sometimes. But that would not convince them that it is a young earth because of their underlying presupposition. If you're an
100%.
right, if you're an agnostic and I'm a Christian, you see a light in the sky and I'm like, "Whoa, that's God." And you say, "Wait, that's a sun ray." Both of us have presuppositions that will interpret how we view evidence, right?
Mm.
So whenever I have this conversation with people who say they are atheist or agnostic, is I try to talk about the presuppositions. Which one of our presuppositions can make sense of reality? The laws of logic, universal moral ethics, and the fact that there is truth, not relative but objective truth. My argument is that only a Christian can account for those things, whereas an atheist and agnostic can't. What would you say to that?
What level of evidence would a Christian have that an agnostic, say scientist or scientist agnostic would have that that the Christian wouldn't, I guess, or would have or something, I guess. If you get what I'm
Well,
saying.
the last atheist I spoke to, I asked him, what would count as evidence for you to believe that God exists? He went on to say that he wants to see some physical evidence for the existence of God. Then I told him that there's this thing in logic called the violation of a category or category error. If I say that God is a transcendental being, and you say I need to see physical evidence for a transcendental being, you are in essence making a category error. What you should do is ask me to give you evidence for transcendentals, which would be very easy. All of us believe in truth. All of us believe in the laws of logic. All of us believe in universal moral ethics. All of us believe these things, but we wouldn't say that we can find them under a rock or that we can touch them and smell them. I can't ask you to show me what color the law of logic is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these things are transcendentals in that we're not just living in a physical world, but there is a spiritual realm.
Metaphysical.
There's a metaphysical realm, right? And that's philosophy, metaphysics. If there is metaphysics,
I think that's, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If there's metaphysical realities, then that's evidence for a transcendental being. If that is not evidence for a transcendental being and all you want is physical evidence, then you're making a category error and at the same time calling yourself smart and logical when that's illogical.
What is the evidence that there is a metaphysical realm? That's what I want to know. What evidence is there of that?
I would say the evidence for a metaphysical realm is the fact that there are things that we believe and accept that are not physical realities. For example, the number
Morals,
2.
ethics, and
The number 2. I'm going to use something simple.
Number 2.
The number 2. You can only show me representations of the number 2, but you can't show me the number 2. Representations.
Because human construct, and that's what you're trying to say. Subjective.
Right. It's conceptual. There are conceptual things, conceptual realities. There are things.
If I could, let me just ask. So the number 2, you could draw it, you could see it.
Those are representations.
Representation.
If I write the number 2 on a board, and then I say, "What's that?" You say it's number 2. If I erase it, is there now no longer the concept of two-ness? Of course not.
To a degree of how much you rub it out, but yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because.
But then I'm just being semantics, so then yeah.
Yeah, it's if we spend too much time on semantics, then we wouldn't get anywhere. The point I'm making is there are physical representations of metaphysical things or metaphysical realities. Another example would be an idea. An idea is just in your mind until it comes out in words or written on a board.
Yeah, no, you personally, look, you know more about this than me, 100%.
But I would have to ask you the question, though. How, if I were to ask you, why is rape wrong? What standard would you give me to say that according to this standard, it's wrong?
If all morals are subjective,
right,
then it would be based on society's interpretation of what is good and bad.
Right.
Would it not be?
Exactly. But if we go down that road and we say that morality is determined by the society, then we have to say that the society was right when they all believed that killing Jews and killing black people was okay.
Depending on the time, and I'm not defending it. I'm not defending. I don't know if you're recording or anything like that. If you are,
no, I wouldn't say that you're defending it. What I'm saying is, It is the necessary implication of the position. The
Yes.
necessary
Okay. Yeah.
implication
Cool.
of the position.
I wouldn't. I would say that morals and ethics change when we like the more we learn about the world and individuals. I feel like back when these things were happening, like when black people were slaves,
Yeah.
the general consensus was these people aren't human, they're subhuman, let's kill them.
Right.
But
Right.
when we learned and when there was an uprising of information and overthrowing, our morals on that position changed.
Right. And if we go down the road of saying, well, I agree with you that the morals change throughout the history,
Mm.
but if there is no universal moral ethic, i.e., God giving his law, then there is no way of knowing that we have figured it out now, since we are
Why?
in a
What is that?
process.
Let me send you a friend request because you're smart on the. Let me
I'm sorry.
let me send, let me send you a friend request. Let me send-
Thank you for the
request.
compliment, man. That was a
Lagging a
curveball. I'm
little
not
bit
gonna lie.
now, but yeah. So because there is no, I guess, God to give us or create the ethics, is what you're saying. Then how would we know whether it's right or wrong? Is that what you're saying?
Right. And the example you gave, which is true, if you look at history, it's true. People have been figuring it out as they went along. What I'm saying is the problem with that is this. How would we know that we have figured it out if we are in a process of figuring out what is right and wrong? How would
No,
we know?
100% agree. We could find out tomorrow that certain people
Right.
aren't even considered human. 100% I agree. And what you're saying is because there's no God, we will never figure it out.
Right.
What you're arguing, what I'm hearing is that it is morally better for there to be a God than none. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying, and that the existence of God is necessary for accounting for universal moral ethics. If God does
I agree
not
with that. I
exist,
agree. I've always said that. I've always said that. I've always
right.
said that.
If God does not exist, everything is subjective. It's
No,
just up
yeah.
to the taste. It's like ice cream. You like chocolate, I like vanilla. None of us are wrong. It's just a
But
preference.
I would. I don't know about the individual. I'm saying what I'm saying is yes. I think God is a way for you to have really good. I agree with that. You can't disagree with the teachings. It says pretty. Don't steal. Don't cheat. Don't. Yeah, of course.
Right.
But how do we not know that we could, instead of a God, look into the teachings of people who are like, hey, look, or we could just agree that morals are selfish and go forward with that. I don't know. I think what you're saying of like there needs to be a God for there to be ethics and everything like that.
Well, I wouldn't say that there needs to be a God for there to be ethics. I said there needs to be a God for there to be universal moral ethics, which is very different. If God does not exist, people can still do good. People can still do right things, nice things, etc. That's why I never tell an atheist. I'd never say to an atheist that because you don't believe in God, you're a bad person. I never say that because there are atheists out there, believe it or not, who live better lives than Christians, which
Yeah.
is very surprising.
The
But
Pope.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is there is no universal moral ethics if God does not exist, which means that it just depends on the culture you're in. Every culture is right no matter what because there is no
With that
standard.
individual and there's no standard for
Right.
But is
Right.
that not already the case because there's multiple different gods upon multiple different cultures? So what you're saying is yours. That's what I'm getting at, right?
Well,
Some
you're
gods
right. There
have
there
multiple
are
wives, some
multiple
gods, yeah.
there are multiple different societies that believe in different gods. And there's evidence in the Bible as to why that's the case. God created all things, including spiritual beings that he gave authority to govern the nations of the world. And those spiritual beings went against the command of God and caused the people to start worshiping them. And that's how all the different religions came about. The Bible tells you all of these things. It gives you all the answers. But the God of Christianity, Yahweh, is the true God, the God who is all powerful, almighty, and that all people should worship him. And there's also scriptures in the Bible that say that God will not only judge human beings, but he will also judge the divine beings that he gave authority to rule over the human beings who, instead of using their authority to guide people to God, they use their authority to guide people to themselves. That's why you have Hinduism, Buddhism, and all the other religions that came before Christianity, and the religions that were around in the time of the Israelite religion back in the 1000 BC era. There's answers for all of these things in Scripture. I spent years studying these things so that I could know how to respond to these things because I had these questions too. But what I'm saying is, those nations in the world that believe in God as well, if you ask them foundational questions like I'm asking the atheist or the agnostic, you will find inconsistencies. And those inconsistencies will show that their perspective on God can't be true because it's logically invalid. I'll give you an example. Hindus believe that everything is one. Everything is one. If you ask them this question, if everything is one and everything had a beginning, how is it that your God did not have a beginning if everything is one and everything is God? They would say, well, everything is God and everything is one, but God somehow is eternal, but the things that is God are not eternal. There's a logical
Wouldn't that be the
disconnect.
difference between the metaphysical realm and the physical realm, right? Are we talking about the physical realm when we're talking about the beginning of the earth and all that, and metaphysically, God would live outside of the physical realm?
Well, the Christian would say that God created the world and is sustaining the world. He's keeping the world running. He is the one who is the ultimate cause of all things that take place, and he causes things to take place for a purpose. That's why there's no such thing in the world as purposeless evil, in that a Christian, if something bad happens to him or her, he or she knows that it is happening for a good reason. Evil is used for good. But without God, then there is no such thing as purposeful evil. Everything that happens in this world, evil and good, has no purpose. It just happens, which is where we get things like egoism and hedonism. Hedonism is the perspective that you should live for your pleasure alone. And I'm sure you know people who live that way because there's nothing after. There is no God, so why not just have fun while I can? Only have one life to live, so they do whatever they want. But none of us would have an argument against that individual. What if, like Jeffrey Dahmer, they found fun and pleasure in murdering men and keeping their skeletons in their closet? We have no argument. We're just like, oh, do you, whatever floats your boat.
We could admit that it is morally wrong based on what society. I've always admitted I've always been the atheist that said, look, I think morals are completely selfish. I feel like we only do certain things because we don't want it done to us. I've always held that position. That's always been something of.
But there are universal moral ethics because every individual will agree that, to a degree, rape is wrong. To a degree, stealing is wrong. To a degree, murder is wrong. Because if they are on the receiving end, they will, at a heartbeat, say it's wrong. Yeah, they're the ones 100%. Getting raped. They're the ones getting murdered. 100%. They're the ones getting stolen 100%. From. And the Christian religion says that God is the one who has written on the heart of every human being a conscience, a moral ethic, which is why you will find that most cultures have the same moral ethic. Christianity has a
like a thing where it's like there's no argument against that because all that is metaphysical. We have no evidence or non-evidence for the metaphysical realm, and you could say it's because you believe that, though, right?
Well, I would say that we have evidence of the metaphysical realm because we have transcendental facts about reality, like laws of logic, truth, universal moral ethics. But you wouldn't
agree that that's not just made up in the minds of man? You don't think that we could rationalize that? And
I would say that the laws of logic weren't made up, they were discovered. And if they were created, well, if the fingerprints of God is in his creation, such as truth, universal moral ethics, and the laws of logic, we can expect that we will discover them. But we can't say that we created them because if we created them...
of course, nothing is discovered, yeah.
If we say that we created the laws of logic, then that would necessitate that there are different cultures with different logic. And every culture you go, The three laws of logic apply: the law of contradiction, the law of identity, and the law of excluded middle. These laws of logic are what we call in logical teaching the first principles that people use without knowing. You and I are using laws of logic right now to have this conversation. We're not contradicting each other in the sense of you saying that you are not an atheist and you are an atheist at the same time in the same sense. I'd be like, what? You're not saying that you are a man, you're not a man at the same time in the same sense. I'd be like, what's going on here? That's breaking the laws of logic. And all of us can identify when laws of logic are being broken because they're the first principles. We discover them. They're a part of reality. And as well, there's this thing called reasoning, the ability to think, understand, and form conversations, conclusions, and propositions logically. Everyone has that ability, and you can identify this in children early on, and you can say the words, you know, this kid is going to be a very smart man when he grows up. Why? Because you realize that they can reason at a very young age. Think, understand, and form conclusions logically, because logic is a standard. Where did logic come from? God. So that means that God exists, is my argumentation.
Yeah, man. Look, you obviously know more than me. Do you have a YouTube channel or something I should?
Yeah, I do. My YouTube channel is let me type it in. Adrian King. Oh damn, it should be Adrian. Sorry, I forgot the N. Adrian. Adrian King Official. So that's my YouTube channel. I make videos like this to try and challenge myself to show that Christianity actually has an intellectual aspect of it, and we don't have to run from argumentation. You have a YouTube channel?
Nah, I just enjoy the conversation. Do you know Destiny?
Yeah, I do. I know Destiny.
Yeah, I watch stuff like that.
Yeah, he's a very smart guy. Very smart guy. I would like to have a debate with him about moral ethics.
Yeah, nah, you should definitely go. There's people, Young Don the Source God, and people like, I don't know if you know Young Don Reborn, or he used to do animations. Now he does these
Young Don. I've heard about him
some-
before, but I mean, people like this, I call them intellectuals, and if you have a good argument, then you can be very convincing.
yeah,
But
Hunter Avalone, he's one.
Yeah, and you ever heard of Ben Shapiro and
Yeah.
what's his name? Jordan Peterson. Very intelligent man. Very intelligent man. I
No,
pale in comparison. I'm trying to get to where they're at, but let's see what happens.
definitely. Go on more panels, man. Go on more panels.
Yeah, for real, for real. But thank you for this conversation, man. I hope that I caused you to think a little bit and maybe gave you a different perspective on evidence and what can count as evidence for a God who is
Yeah,
transcendent.
no, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't expect
Because I always
physical
thought that we
evidence.
had like no evidence for the metaphysical realm, but then you've brung up stuff like metaethics and all that. And I'm like, okay, well, where does that come from? We didn't create it. We
And laws
discovered
of
it.
logic. Laws of logic
Yeah.
and mathematical law. Mathematical law. And let's not forget gravity. Gravity, well, no. That's just something you can't see, but it exists. I mean something that is outside of the realm of the physical world, but we can identify them only conceptually. Conceptually.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, my brother. God bless you. That was a good conversation. I can't hear you, man. What?
What you seeing? What you seeing? What you seeing?
What I'm
Jamaica.
saying?
What?
What I'm saying?
But ain't you from Jamaica? Ain't you from Jamaica, boy?
Yes, I am. You sound like you're from St. Lucia.
I from Trinidad, boy. I'm not saying Lucia. Trinidad.
Well,
Trinidad.
you taught me something. St. Lucians and Trinidadians say boy the same way. You say bye.
Nah, we don't say boy. I say, what you seeing, boy? One boy.
That's how y'all talk.
Yeah, that's how we just talk. It's Trinidad, innit?
In Jamaica we say In Jamaica, we say boy, wagwan boy.
Nah, we don't say that. We just say boy. Come here, boy. Where my money, boy?
Yeah,
You
we
understand?
try it out. We say it worse than you guys. We say boy, wagwan boy.
Yeah,
We yeah say
right,
boy. We
right. But let's say Wagwan, we don't say that. We just say, what is the scene?
Why is
When
this
we
scene?
greeting each
Why is this scene? All
other,
right, all right. That is good, man. That is
right.
good. I
You
gotta
never
go to Trinidad. Is it Trinidad and Tobago or just Trinidad?
Trinidad and Tobago, two island.
Just do it.
Two island. Trinidad, yeah, but Trinidad bad, my brother. Don't think Trinidad better than Jamaica right now, eh? We ranking higher than all in killing right now,
I
eh?
got no argument, bro. I got no argument. I'm not even a fan of football. I did hear a
No, well,
Trinidadian though. You don't say down, you say dung. Dung. Just like Jamaicans.
what? What is that?
You don't say down, you say dung. Like me I go down the road.
Yeah, go
Dung.
down the road, boy. Go down the road, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, we
yeah, yeah.
Trinidad and Jamaica similar, you know. You know Trinidad, so you must know the dancehall music.
Trinidad, well,
Plenty,
there's dancehall
plenty
music here in
Trinidadians.
Jamaica too. Got dancehall music
Well,
here in Jamaica too.
Kings, Trinidadians now. That big 7 gang, 6 gang. Well, them thing is big, big. It killing people down here, boy.
Yeah, I've heard about that
Yeah,
stuff, man. I heard about
yeah,
it.
boy. It have a 7 gang or 6 gang in Trinidad, boy. Right now, we murder toll so far for the years, how much? 100 and something? We
Yeah,
done
that's
reach
why
out.
that's why, bro, you gotta live for God and do what he says before you die. Because when we face God in judgment, bro, he ain't gonna have no mercy
Correct,
on us.
correct, correct, correct,
See what I'm
correct,
saying?
correct.
Yes, man.
Yeah, what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. It have plenty people right here in the Caribbean and Trinidad and all too. It have
Yeah.
plenty people talking about God and there is not of God. They preaching about God, brother, and there is not of God.
I know, I know.
Right? They fake. Right? It
I
all
know.
are down here in the Caribbean plenty too, right?
That's why we
Everything
gotta
what
look
going
in the mirror. That's why we gotta look in the mirror and fix the person in the mirror. Make sure that the person in the mirror is what the hell? I was gonna tell him that yes, there are hypocritical Christians out there, but make sure you're not one of them.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you all for listening. I hope that you all learned about the transcendental argument for the existence of God. The transcendental argument for the existence of God.
Pretty ass eyes.
That's
What's
what I was
good,
gonna
yo?
say. Oh, I'm good, man.
Well,
What's good with you?
I'm just flexing on foreigners.
That's a lot of money.
Thank you, brother. Have a good day.
Same to you, brother. Later. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Got to get out of this thing.